Welcome, friends. Imagine for a moment a world in which the most cherished relationships in your life, whether with a partner, a family member, a dear friend, or even a trusted colleague, thrive effortlessly. Picture yourself at the center of this web of connections, not because you demand attention or monopolize conversations, but because others genuinely value your presence, your counsel, and your steadfast support. What if I told you that within each of us lie 5 timeless traits, rooted in the wisdom of Stoic philosophy that can make us truly indispensable in our relationships? Today, we'll explore those 5 traits together. In our fast-paced, often tumultuous lives, relationships can feel fragile. We're bombarded by distractions, swayed by emotional highs and lows, and sometimes we overlook the simple yet profound qualities that cement trust, foster understanding, and deepen bonds. That's where Stoicism comes in, a philosophy not of cold rationality, but of empowering clarity, inner strength, and serene compassion. By integrating Stoic principles into our relationships with others, we don't just survive the storms of life, we build relationships that endure, nourish, and inspire. So, settle in, take a gentle breath, and let's embark on this journey. Together, we'll uncover the 5 traits that make you indispensable in relationships, and we'll learn how to cultivate them in our daily lives. Ready? Let's begin. 1. Presence, the gift of undivided attention. Have you ever reflected on how scarce genuine attention has become in our lives? We might be sitting across from a loved one, yet our thoughts drift to the ping of a message, the half-finished task on our desk, or the endless scroll of social media. And in those moments, we miss something far more precious than any notification: the opportunity to truly connect. In Stoic terms, presence is the mindful anchoring of our consciousness in the here and now, an act of will that honors both our inner calm and the soul of the person before us. Epictetus taught that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. When we choose to listen with our full being, ears, eyes, heart, mind, we practice the Stoic discipline of attention. This is not a passive stance, but an active engagement, a commitment to set aside judgments, to suspend the inner dialogue that whispers, "What's next? What should I say?" Instead, we dedicate the entirety of our focus to understanding another person's experience. Marcus Aurelius, that philosopher emperor who faced constant turmoil, reminded himself in his meditations, confine yourself to the present. Imagine applying that directive in your daily interactions. No rehearsed responses, no mental wanderings to past grievances or future worries, just the pure reception of another's words, tone, and presence. In that moment, you are wholly there. You see the small tremor in their voice, the hesitation in their expression. You catch the unspoken plea for empathy or encouragement. Why is this so transformative? Because at our core, every human longs to be fully witnessed. How many times have you felt a pang of frustration when someone's eyes darted away, or their thumbs danced over a screen while you tried to share something meaningful? Conversely, recall a moment when someone paused, leaned in, and truly listened. How did that land in your chest? It felt like breathing room for your thoughts and emotions. And that breathing room is the fertile soil in which trust and intimacy grow. Seneca further illuminates this by writing, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." In relationships, what we crave is not just words, but presence. We are impoverished when we hoard our attention, scattering it among countless distractions. By practicing presence, we demonstrate that our time, our very life force, is not something to be squandered, but to be offered generously to those we care about. Let me invite you now to a simple exercise. The next time you're with someone, silently count each time you feel the urge to look away, perhaps at your phone, your watch, or a stray thought. Don't judge yourself, simply note it. Then, gently return your gaze and your curiosity to the other person. Ask yourself, what is it like to be in their shoes? What emotions are unspoken in the pauses between their words? This practice may feel awkward at first. After all, we are conditioned to multitask. Yet each time you choose presence over distraction, you strengthen the neural pathways of mindful engagement. You become more attuned to subtle cues of emotion, more patient in the face of difficult topics, and more compassionate toward others' vulnerabilities. Emotionally, This deep listening signals safety to those around us. It says, "I see you. Your story matters. Your feelings are worth my full attention." And in return, people lower their defenses. They open up. Conversations become more authentic, conflicts more solvable, and joys more celebratory. In practical terms, you might establish a small ritual. At the start of any meaningful conversation, take a breath and say, "I'm here with you now." Or place your phone face down on the table as a silent covenant of your presence. Over time, these seemingly small gestures coalesce into a relational architecture built on undivided attention. Presence is not a one-time achievement, but an ongoing commitment. As Seneca encourages, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. In nurturing our capacity for presence, we gift ourselves and others the profound joy of being truly seen. And that, dear listener, is the very essence of what makes you indispensable in every relationship you cherish. 2. Consistency, the anchor of trust. Have you ever paused to consider why some people seem to weather life's storms with unshakable calm, drawing others toward them like a steady lighthouse? In a tempest, at the heart of this magnetic reliability, lies consistency, the quiet, steadfast alignment of our values, words, and actions over time. In Stoic philosophy, consistency is more than mere habit. It is the embodiment of integrity, the living proof that our inner principles guide us as surely as a North Star guides a sailor. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, mused, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." What a profound, yet simple directive, to let our every choice reflect our highest standard of character. When we honor this truth consistently, whether in trivial daily promises or life-altering commitments, we build a reputation of reliability. Others come to know that when we speak, we mean it. When we pledge, we perform. When we care, we act. In turn, this fosters an unspoken bond of trust that deepens every relationship we hold dear. But how do we cultivate such unyielding consistency in our frail human condition? Seneca offers a guiding light. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. We often fail to be consistent because our focus drifts toward looming tasks or distant goals, neglecting the simple actions that sustain trust in the here and now. To counter this, we return our attention to the immediate promise we make today, returning a call, honoring a coffee date, completing a task we vowed to do. Each small fulfillment compounds, fortifying our character and ingraining reliability into our very being. Ask yourself, what commitments have I neglected while chasing grander ambitions? Which small but vital promises have slipped through my grasp? Reflect without judgment, only with gentle curiosity. Then, choose one neglected promise, a message to send, a favor to return, a moment to show up and follow through. In this practice lies the alchemy of consistency, transforming fleeting intent into lasting trust. Epictetus, the humble former slave turned sage, reminds us, first learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak. Reflection precedes action. Before committing, ensure that the promise aligns with your capacity and character. Better to speak less and deliver more than to overpromise and underdeliver. By weaving honesty into our commitments, we safeguard our integrity and prevent the erosion of trust. Consider for a moment the emotional resonance of consistency. How does it feel to rely on someone who always comes through? There's relief in that reliability, a sense of safety where hearts can relax and open. Conversely, broken promises breed uncertainty and pain, like hidden cracks that grow beneath the surface of intimacy until the bond fractures. Consistency, then, is an act of compassion. By keeping our word, we spare others the anxiety of doubt and create a sanctuary of dependability. In practical terms, consistency thrives on conscious rituals. Perhaps you set aside a weekly check-in with a friend, marking it sacred on your calendar. Maybe you begin each morning by reviewing your top 3 promises for the day, visualizing the satisfaction of fulfilling them. Or you pair accountability with a trusted companion. If I miss this goal, I'll share my reflection with you. These small systems uphold our willpower and tether us to our highest intentions. Yet remember, Stoicism does not demand perfection. It honors resilient effort. If you falter, do not bury your head in shame. Acknowledge the misstep. seek to rectify it, and recommit. As Marcus Aurelius also teaches, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. A broken promise, when met with an honest apology and renewed determination, becomes a powerful opportunity to demonstrate integrity in adversity. As you strengthen your consistent reliability, notice how others respond. Doors open, hearts soften, and conversations deepen. Trust grows, not as a fragile flower to be coddled, but as a mighty oak, rooted in the steady practice of aligned words and deeds. In becoming this anchor for others, you cultivate an inner fortress of self-respect, knowing that your life is a testament to the Stoic ideal to live according to reason, integrity, and unwavering purpose. So today, let consistency be your silent vow. Speak only what you mean, do only what you promise, and watch as the anchor of trust you forge becomes the bedrock of your most treasured relationships. 3. Empathy, the bridge of understanding. Have you ever paused to consider how profoundly lonely we can feel, even in a crowded room? Each of us carries an unseen world of joys, fears, hopes, and wounds, and without empathy, those inner landscapes remain hidden, walled off by silence. Empathy, the third trait that renders us indispensable, is the active reach across that chasm, the conscious effort to perceive and share another's feelings. In Stoic philosophy, empathy is not mere sentimentality. It is a discipline of the heart rooted in rational compassion and the recognition of our shared humanity. Seneca observed, "A gift consists not in what is done or given, but in the intention of the giver or doer." When we offer empathy, our gift is not advice or solutions, but the intention to truly understand another person's experience. Empathy begins with the Stoic exercise of sympathia, the sense that we are all threads woven into the same tapestry of existence. Epictetus reminds us we are all fellow prisoners in the same prison. This powerful metaphor calls us to stand not apart from others in judgment, but beside them in solidarity. So, how do we practice this bridged understanding? It starts with curiosity, a willingness to ask gentle, open-ended questions. What was that like for you? How did your heart respond in that moment? Notice the subtle shift when you replace a solution-driven response with an empathetic inquiry. You signal, "I'm here to listen," beneath your words. As you do, you honor the Stoic tenet that emotion deserves our respectful observation, not our impulsive reaction. Imagine a friend describing a recent loss or failure. Your inner voice might urge you to fix their pain. Don't worry, it'll get better. But Stoic empathy asks you to hold space instead. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, but I have seen the beauty of their reasoning." He acknowledges that every person's behavior is shaped by inner struggles. By extending empathy, you become someone who sees beyond surface irritations to that deeper struggle for wisdom and well-being. Rhetorically, let me ask you, when was the last time someone truly heard you, beyond your words, into your pauses, and your unspoken textures of feeling? How did it transform you? That transformative power is precisely what you can offer to others. Empathy is not a passive echo, but an active mirror that reflects another's humanity, inviting healing and connection. Emotionally, empathy carries weight. It requires courage to lean into another's pain without being overwhelmed. Yet Stoics teach us that our inner fortress built through reflection and equanimity provides the firm ground from which we can extend compassion without losing ourselves. Seneca counseled, "No man excels in anything unless he practices it." In practical terms, you build your empathetic capacity by starting small. Notice the tone in someone's voice, observe the tension in their shoulders, and name it gently. "I sense this is heavy for you." Such utterances validate their feelings, permitting them to be real. Consider this simple exercise. The next time someone shares a difficult experience, pause for a count of 3 before responding. In those 3 beats, let your mind release any urge to fix or redirect. Instead, invite your heart to echo their emotional rhythm. Then, respond with a phrase that acknowledges their inner world. That sounds challenging. I can't imagine how hard that must be. Empathy also demands self-awareness. We cannot pour from an empty cup. Guard your emotional boundaries through daily reflection. Examine which emotions arise in you. As you listen and tend to them with Stoic detachment, recognize them, but do not be ruled by them. This disciplined balance allows you to remain present and supportive rather than reactive or drained. Ultimately, empathy knits the fabric of human connection. It tells others you are not alone in this. In doing so, you become a living testament to the Stoic ideal to transcend self-absorption and stand in solidarity with all who walk life's path. As you cultivate genuine empathy, you forge the strongest of relational bridges, ones that carry trust, understanding, and profound emotional resonance. And in that sacred space of mutual recognition, you become truly indispensable. For humility, the foundation of growth. Have you ever noticed how a storm feels less threatening when you find the courage to admit, "I was wrong"? That simple phrase, born of humility, can dissolve tension, rebuild trust, and open doors to deeper understanding. In Stoic philosophy, humility is not a sign of weakness, but the fertile ground from which genuine strength and wisdom emerge. It is the graceful acknowledgement of our limitations, the curious admission that we are eternal students in life's grand classroom. Marcus Aurelius, reflecting on his human frailties, wrote in his Meditations, "If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake in any thought or action, I shall gladly change. I seek the truth, which never harmed anyone." Here, humility is in service of truth itself. It recognizes that our perceptions are imperfect, our judgments clouded by biases, and that growth only flourishes when we open ourselves to correction. How many conflicts have escalated simply because pride barricaded the path to understanding? By embracing humility, we lower that barrier and invite constructive dialogue. Seneca, ever the advocate of self-examination, counseled, "Let us train our minds to desire what the situation demands." When we face criticism of friends, hesitant observation, or a colleague's pointed feedback, humility allows us to sift out defensiveness and instead ask, "What can I learn here?" This shift from ego preservation to inquisitive receptivity transforms criticism from an assault on our ego into a compass guiding us toward improvement. Think back to a moment when someone offered you sincere feedback. Did you cling to defensiveness, or did you lean in to understand their perspective? That choice defines whether humility becomes your guide or pride becomes your prison. Epictetus, who himself endured the hardship of slavery, taught that it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Humility shines in our reactions. When success arrives, perhaps praise for a project well done or admiration for a personal achievement, humility tempers our triumph, reminding us that fortune is fickle and that our victories are often collective efforts. By saying, "I could not have done this without your support," we acknowledge interdependence and fortify bonds of mutual respect. Rhetorically, I ask you, when was the last time you swallowed your pride to apologize first? How did that choice ripple through your relationship? Chances are that moment of vulnerability breathed fresh life into the connection, inviting reciprocal trust. Humility is the key that unlocks humility in others. It signals that perfection is neither expected nor required, but a shared journey toward growth. Emotionally, humility carries profound resonance. It requires courage to expose our flaws, to admit we don't have all the answers, and that sometimes we stumble. Yet Stoics view adversity not as a threat, but as an opportunity. Seneca reminds us, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. When we confront our shortcomings with humility, we transform obstacles into stepping stones, and our relationships become laboratories of mutual learning and support. In everyday practice, humility can be woven into simple rituals. Begin meetings, formal or informal, by inviting input with, "I may be missing something here, your perspective matters." In personal interactions, cultivate the habit of pausing before speaking to ask, "Is this rooted in ego, or am I seeking understanding?" When conflicts arise, resist the urge to prove yourself right. Instead, offer, "Help me see your view." Such phrases dissolve defensive walls and invite collaborative problem solving. Remember, humility does not demand self-deprecation or denial of our strengths. Rather, it calls for honest self-awareness, seeing our talents and our flaws in equal measure. and using both as catalysts for growth. Marcus Aurelius encapsulates this balance when he writes, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." By holding ourselves to high standards while maintaining compassion for our imperfections, we model the Stoic ideal for those around us. Ultimately, humility plants the seeds of authenticity. It whispers to others, "I am real, I am fallible, and I am committed to growing alongside you." In that shared vulnerability lies the spark of profound connection, enabling relationships to evolve from transactional exchanges into enduring partnerships of mutual respect and encouragement. Embrace humility, dear listener, and watch how the foundation of your relationships deepens into a bedrock of trust and shared wisdom, an enduring testament to the Stoic belief that true strength emerges from the willing acknowledgement of our humanity. 5. Equanimity, the calm within the storm. Have you ever noticed how a crisis can send ripples of panic through the calmest gathering? In those moments, our reactions become contagious, either a feverish storm of blame and anxiety or the quiet center that holds everyone steady. Equanimity, the fifth trait that makes you indispensable, is that unshakable core of composure amid chaos. In Stoic wisdom, equanimity is not emotional numbness, but the cultivated capacity to observe turmoil without being consumed by it. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor who faced revolt, plague, and political intrigue, reminded himself in his meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This profound truth reframes every disturbance. The external event may be beyond our control, but our judgments and responses reside firmly within our authority. When you embody equanimity, you become a living testament to this Stoic principle. Others look to you in turbulence and see that calm is possible. That clarity can emerge when a level head guides the way. Consider how often a heated argument escalates simply because each person matches the other's volume and intensity. What if instead one voice remained calm, listening, regulating breath, and speaking softly? All eyes turn to that voice as a beacon. Epictetus teaches, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In that space between stimulus and response lies our freedom. Equanimity is the discipline of that space, a brief pause where reason outshines emotion, where we choose our response rather than reflexively lash out. Ask yourself now, in your most stressful encounters, what is your usual approach? Do you feel your pulse quicken, your words rush, and your mind fixate on the threat? Or do you notice a quieting, a slowdown where you can consider options? Recognizing your patterns is the first step. Then, with determination, you can train your inner landscape to default toward composure. Seneca, whose letters brimmed with practical counsel, noted, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Trials are inevitable in relationships, unexpected criticisms, miscommunications, and emotional triggers. Equanimity does not remove these tests, it equips you to meet them with serenity. When someone's words sting or a project falters, equanimity whispers, "This pain is transient. My inner calm endures." That gentle reminder prevents you from becoming rattled and instead anchors you as a dependable presence. Emotionally, embodying equanimity requires courage. It means acknowledging that discomfort will rise and inviting it in without fear. You might feel the heat of anger or the chill of disappointment, yet you welcome those sensations as passing weather, not permanent. Train. In practice, you might adopt a silent ritual. Take 3 deliberate breaths when negative emotions surge. Label each breath. Breathing in, I notice frustration. Breathing out, I release judgment. This simple Stoic technique transforms emotional whirlwinds into manageable currents. Rhetorical questions can guide your reflection. What if you could respond to conflict, not as a threat, but as an opportunity to model calm? How might your relationships shift if, instead of mirroring distress, you offered a steady hand and a listening ear? The answers emerge through practice, moment by moment. In everyday life, equanimity flourishes through mindful presence. Before entering difficult conversations, pause at the doorway, physical or mental, and remind yourself, I will seek understanding, not dominance. Afterward, reflect, that I maintain composure. If you faltered, Gently note where the calm slipped away and how you might anchor yourself next time. Over weeks, these micro-checks weave equanimity into the fabric of your character. Ultimately, equanimity is a gift you give to others and yourself. When you face adversity with a clear mind, you lighten the emotional burden for everyone involved. You become a living example of Stoic resilience, showing that peace is not the absence of storms, but the mastery of one's inner sea. In cultivating equanimity, you not only transform your own life, but also become the harbor of calm that makes you truly indispensable in every relationship. Imagine, for a moment, integrating just one of these traits more fully into your daily life. What shift might you notice in your relationships tomorrow? And if you commit to weaving all 5 into your character, how might your connections flourish over the coming weeks? Philosopher and Emperor Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that our time is limited, each moment an opportunity to live according to our highest ideals. So I invite you now, choose one trait, perhaps the one that resonates most with your current journey. Practice it consciously today. Notice the difference it makes. Thank you for sharing this time with me, for listening with an open heart, and for your commitment to nurturing relationships grounded in Stoic wisdom. If this conversation resonated with you, I encourage you to like this video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe for more reflections on ancient philosophy made practical for our modern lives. Until next time, may your presence be steady, your mind calm, and your heart open. Farewell and be well.